Monday was crazy, you guys. We had a trailer drop for the debut of the new Crash Bandicoot game for the PS4. Apple had their 2020 WWDC event. And then we got out of nowhere news that Michael Keaton may be coming back to reprise his role as Batman. Let's break that down. Before we get to that, make sure to hit that like button because liking these videos lets me know that you love them. Let's get to the news. It was reported by various trades that Michael Keaton is in talks to reprise his role as Batman in the upcoming Flash movie. Keaton has not played the role of Batman in over 30 years, so it's kind of crazy to think that he could be coming back. Now, there are no specifics in exactly what role he could play. Many think that he could be playing, of course, Batman, since that's what he was when he was Batman. But also rumors could be that he could be playing Thomas Wayne. I'll get to that later in this video, but that leads me into the next rumored news the day before this came out of Jeffrey Dean Morgan possibly being in The Flash, playing Thomas Wayne, who could possibly be Batman in The Flash. Now, Jeffrey Dean Morgan has expressed that he would like to reprise his role as Mr. Wayne. If you're not familiar, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohan from Walking Dead were Bruce Wayne's parents in Batman vs. Superman. You know, I always find it weird that Jeffrey Dean Morgan's always playing people's dads. You know, he was the dad in Supernatural and he was the dad in Batman vs. Superman. Guess he's just a good fatherly figure. These are, of course, all rumors, so this is just all talk, but it's kind of crazy to know that we'll have possibly two Batmans in the upcoming Flash movie. So let's talk about that, The Flash. So why is Michael Keaton important and why is Jeffrey Dean Morgan possibly important? So if you're not familiar with The Flash, not going through his origin story of how he becomes The Flash, because we kind of already know he's working in the lab and he gets struck by lightning and he gets his powers. So that part's all good and dandy. And that part doesn't really change too much throughout the comics and the movies, so we're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about is kind of what's touched on in the CW TV show, where Barry Allen, obviously we know Ezra Miller was playing Barry Allen in the movie, and in Justice League, we see that he goes to visit his dad in prison, and his dad is in prison because of the murder of his wife, Nora, Barry's mom. So that's basically what we're going to start off with to get to Flashpoint, which is possibly what the Flash movie is about. So from the CW TV show, we know that Barry at the moment does not know who killed his mom. Everybody thinks that it's his dad, but we come to know from the comics and the TV show that it's the Reverse Flash, who we have not seen yet in the DCEU. That leads us into Flashpoint. Now, the whole point of Flashpoint is the Reverse Flash basically taunts Barry Allen that he killed his mom. He lets him know that I did it, what are you going to do about it? And basically Barry says, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. So he's going to go back in time, because if you're not familiar with the Flash's powers, he's the fastest man alive, but he also has a capability of going so fast he can travel back in time. And when he does that, it basically creates a paradox, or basically another universe or a multiverse. That's what we're kind of getting into now. If you're not familiar with DC Comics, but possibly you've seen the Flash TV show, which is known as the Arrowverse, because you have the Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, all these various DC shows together that do crossovers, there's something called Different Earths, and that's basically what multiverse is about. So on top of Barry Allen going back in time to save his mom from being killed from the Reverse Flash, and I know this is a lot of information to follow, it is very confusing, stay with me here. So Barry Allen goes back in time to save his mom from being killed by the Reverse Flash, and in the process of doing all of that, he goes to a alternate timeline, or in the multiverse, which is possibly a different Earth. And when he gets there, he's going to find basically his world turned upside down. When he gets there, he does not have his powers because he technically is not the Flash. He's technically the Reverse Flash, and the Reverse Flash is actually the hero and the one in charge of everything. And then you have the Justice League, who are not the Justice League anymore. You have Superman, who is now a lab experiment for the government. You have Wonder Woman and Aquaman, who are basically fighting for control of Earth. You have Shazam and Batman and a couple of scattered heroes pretty much making up the good of Earth's heroes, so you don't really have a Justice League anymore. I'd say like a Captain America Civil War thing going on. This is kind of like a good mirror to that for Marvel. So you're going to have, I would say Barry Allen is like Spider-Man. I know that's loosely going there. He's not Spider-Man. But I mean, he's more of like a neutral character in that he doesn't really know what's going on. He really doesn't want to hurt anybody. He wants everything to go back to normal, but he has to side with somebody, so he's going to side with Batman. But it's not really Batman, it's Thomas Wayne who is Batman, because in this version of the story, Batman has been killed, as in Bruce Wayne is killed. So in the original Batman timeline, Bruce Wayne's parents, they are killed, and Bruce Wayne becomes Batman. So now it's reversed. So now Bruce Wayne has been killed, and his dad, Thomas Wayne, becomes Batman. Now what's crazy about that is his mom, Martha Wayne, becomes the Joker. I don't know if we'll get to see her in this movie. It would be really cool if we did, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So we have Thomas Wayne as Batman, team up with Barry Allen, who eventually gets his powers back and becomes a Flash, team up with Shazam and a couple of the other heroes to battle not only Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but the Reverse Flash and a couple other bad guys. Whew, that was a lot. That was a lot. So how does that fit with the DCEU? We have not seen the Zack Snyder version of Justice League yet. So assuming what he does with his revisions and whatever he does to change the story or give us what we don't already know, I think what could possibly happen, since we have not yet seen the Reverse Flash. We know that he exists based on the scene where we see Barry go talk to his dad at the prison in Justice League. So we know that because that happened, the Reverse Flash does exist. He just hasn't met Barry Allen yet. So what I think is going to happen, and it has been rumored in the trades, you know, in various articles and stuff online, I think what happens is if we get to see Steppenwolf and Darkseid in Justice League, what I think ultimately happens is the Justice League is not powerful enough to defeat Darkseid. So what Barry Allen does is he uses his powers to go back in time and I guess try to either undo all of the events, basically the DCEU, to maybe try to warn the heroes of the past, like maybe he goes too far. And that's basically how Flashpoint happens. And because he does that, he's going to run into Thomas Wayne and all these alternate versions of the characters that we've come to know. Because basically all the characters that I've mentioned that are part of Flashpoint, with the exception of the Reverse Flash and Martha Wayne and possibly Nora Allen, we have seen everybody else. We've seen Barry Allen's dad, we've seen Barry Allen the Flash, we've seen Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, who is going to also be in it. I mean, we've seen all these characters, so we know that they can be part of an alternative timeline. And of course, at the end of Flashpoint, just like it is in the comics, and just like it is in the animated movie that's based on the comics, once the resolution is resolved in the alternate timeline, he is able to go back to the original timeline he came from, and it's from there, at least in the DCEU world, we may get a fresh restart. Now, I'm kind of conflicted about this. I don't know that I really want them to completely just, you know, erase and start over. If you saw my review of Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. I won't spoil the ending too much. I mean, I did in that review, so you know what's kind of going on, but they basically started all over again. So what I would hope would happen is, I like the premise that the Justice League is not strong enough. I mean, we haven't even seen Green Lantern yet, and he's a big part of the Darkseid series saga. So I don't know if we'll get to see him going forward, but I feel like if, you know, we take the Justice League movie that we have and we basically use Flashpoint as a way to go back in time and maybe start over with the same characters of what I would like. So I want to keep Henry Cavill as Superman. I know that we're still having some back and forth with who could play Batman. I don't think Ben Affleck is going to come back to the role, unfortunately, which is fine. I think given that they go back to a certain timeline, maybe a certain age, we should still be able to keep Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, you know, Fisher, I mean, I would like to keep those same people and add Ezra Miller to it and then just start telling new stories of the Justice League. We don't have to do Darkseid again. We could do something different. There's tons of villains and heroes that we haven't seen yet that could be introduced in the Justice League or just in the DCEU. So it'd be kind of cool just to kind of start over with that. And then I think they're going to maybe try to do a Green Lantern TV show that could possibly tie into the movies. So there's tons of stuff we can go to from there. But as far as what's going to happen with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Michael Keaton, supposedly Jeffrey Dean Morgan will play Thomas Wayne. Again, this is all rumor, and he will, of course, play Batman. And I'm guessing this is going to be old Batman. So what's going to happen with Michael Keaton's Batman? So there's a rumor also going around that because there's multiverses or different Earths, that you could possibly have Thomas Wayne as Batman, and you could possibly have another Batman, the Batman that we know from the Tim Burton series. What I think they could also do with that is you could have Thomas Wayne Batman, but then maybe you could have old Batman. So kind of like a fracture in the timeline that causes, you know, multiple characters from different timelines kind of merge together. That'd be kind of cool too. Now, the article from The Wrap does say that if Michael Keaton does choose to come back to reprise his role as Batman, it will not only just be for the Flash movie, but for other future DC movies. They say that he'll be in a more, you know, mentoring role, kind of similar to Nick Fury in the Marvel series. And they did also mention him possibly being involved with a Batgirl movie. Now, what I think is interesting about this is if they do decide to bring Michael Keaton back, he is 68 years old, so he is older. So I think they could do is use him as a way to be in a separate timeline. And I think we could possibly get Batman Beyond. I think that'd be kind of cool. Batgirl is in Batman Beyond, so you have everything kind of set up. You have, I mean, we don't particularly know what time this Batman exists in, so there's a chance that once Barry goes to Flashpoint, does whatever he needs to do, and then comes back, whatever age that timeline is in. I know he goes back in time, but, you know, given whatever time era this is in, there's a chance that when he goes back and everything is set back to the way it is, that we could possibly get, you know, old Batman and maybe even get like Terry McGillis and all the stuff for Batman Beyond and get Batgirl. I think that'd be kind of cool. That's all just a theory. That's nothing like set in stone. So what do you think of the news of Michael Keaton possibly reprising as well as Batman? I think it's freaking awesome. I do kind of think it's weird that we have the Flash movie not as a standalone Flash movie, but as a Captain America Civil War type movie. Don't get me wrong, I love the Flash. If you can obviously see behind my mic, I love DC. The Flash is my favorite character. I don't have all my stuff up on my walls yet, but eventually I will, and you'll see in my videos that I'm a diehard Flash fan. So I'm all about having him, you know, equally represented in the DCEU. I think they're doing a great job with the CW as far as having the Flash TV show and the Arrowverse, and I think they've, you know, dived into various heroes and villains that he, you know, is incorporated with. So I think that with Ezra Miller's Flash, I hope they just don't use him as pictured in Batman v Superman, and then he comes up to be in Justice League, and then he's in the Flash, but only as a Flashpoint, and that's it. So I hope they really kind of dive into his character in the cinematic universe and really give us the Flash that we know and love. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you're excited as I am. I'm definitely going to keep track of this. I'm not as detailed as other YouTubers online. I just kind of rant a little and read and just kind of give my 2 cents, but I am really excited about this news, and so I'm going to be sharing it with y'all and excited about the journey. It's still 2022 is when the Flash movie comes out, so we got some time. And that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, make sure to subscribe button, notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.